What's up, everybody? So today I kind of wanted to give a quick walkthrough of the deck that I played day 1 and day 2 at the Winter Cup in Pittsburgh. Every opponent that I played had really nice things to say about the deck, so I kind of wanted to go through and give a little bit of some theory and thought process to kind of what I took and why I took it and why I made some of the choices that I did. So the main deck is built around Warrior Light, 7 CP wool, and we are playing a Gilgamesh version. So we are on 3 copies of Light wool, 3 copies of 4-color wool, and then we do play our 3 copies of Gilgamesh FFBE. The purpose of taking this deck in particular kind of oddly enough harkens back to Oscar. One day at locals, I don't even remember what we were prepping for, but this was definitely last season, so it might have even been prepping for Raleigh or even before that. But me and how I always do, contemplating kind of what I play, Oscar made the comment that I always thought you had pretty good fun with WoL7. So taking just kind of look at Opus 27 and kind of where we currently sit, I felt like WoL7 had a decent shot at doing some fun stuff. I actually tossed around the idea of doing 2 different versions, either a Final Fantasy VIII version, which is near and dear to my heart, as you may be able to tell by the mat here, or this Final Fantasy XIV version, which I eventually settled on, and I'll explain why when we get to the 14 package. But I'm just going to kind of briefly brush over some pretty common cards here. We do have, as we mentioned, the Gilgamesh FFBEs. We do have Axars, Zeramis. We are playing a slight little water package for our water backups that just kind of keep things pretty consistent. Which means that we do like to play the Onion Knight. Not only is it multi-element, so it helps kind of boost our numbers for Gilgamesh when we need them, but it's not too shabby of a card overall. I mean, bouncing something is fairly relevant, especially against opposing LBEs or what have you. And then choosing a damage forward doesn't ever really come up. I guess it could in the deck, like if we were to do some Y'shtola shenanigans, or I do play the multi-element Y'shtola as well. But yeah, the damaged break a damaged forward is not super prevalent. But the main reason that I played the Onion Knight, which I actually didn't want to play it at some point, it was added on pretty late in revisions. But the reason that we added is simply for the water. That's a huge portion of it, and the fact that it kind of is okay. It's not the worst card in the deck by any means. And then Alphino is kind of like already pretty included in most standard WoL7 lists. He's not a card that many would like to exclude, because as you flip it off of WoL7, being able to search out any character is pretty prevalent. So being that I'm kind of already dipping my toes into the 14 category, I really got to thinking, like, what could I do to kind of make WoL7 have like a little bit of an edge over some other boogeyman in the meta right now. And my main boogeyman that I was trying to attack was Seymour, and I, across the entire weekend, out of 13 rounds total, I literally had a Seymour casted against me one time. So I built the deck to help combat the Seymour, and I saw no more. So we'll get a little bit more into the 14 package to explain that a little bit further. So the main reason that I wanted to run so many category 14s was actually for Zeralja here. The fact that at 4 or more category 14 characters, the fact that he gains haste and 2k is pretty nice. But the on attack trigger to break a forward, I wanted a deck that I could play a card and respond to Seymour before they were able to use Seymour against me. So in thinking about what deck Seymour's played in, you know, basically anything that's ice, but anything from, you know, fire ice priming to fire ice warriors, fire water ice warriors. I dabbled with Seymour and mono wind, which is really fun. You know, there's a bunch of different things that could play him, but out of all of the things that were kind of prevalent in what we're running running Seymour, I felt like if I could slam something down and run him over, then I was pretty good. I didn't feel like I had too much trouble from then on. One of the guys that went to Pittsburgh with us tried Seymour in his Warriors list, and it was one of those things where if Seymour stuck, Seymour ran the game. So I knew that I had to do something to get Seymour out of the picture. And one of the easiest things that I could think of was Zeralja. Now, being a Category 14 kind of opened up my palette to some other Category 14 characters that some people are very high on, being the Scions. So we're already dipping our toes in Scions here, so we just kind of rounded out some numbers through some testing, and this is where I settled on for the event. I'll talk a little bit about the ratios here in a little bit, but let's go ahead and knock out some of the other cards really quickly. So we play a few one-ofs here. We play a Yuna, a Lena, and a Nero. Nero simply because he is a Category 14 character, just kind of boosting the Zeralja help there with the effect of getting haste. Yuna, I think, is busted. I think it's a card that, especially in WoL7 lists, that people aren't paying too much attention to. And the philosophy kind of goes back to the Water Lightning KP list that he played. Well, I guess it's Ice Lightning Water. But, you know, the self-mill with Fujin, Raijin, Adia, and all that. I really... as soon as KP had built that deck, that's kind of the flavor of WoL7 that I've been playing when I do play WoL7. But as Yuna came out, it really kind of opened a lot more water CP to be in the deck, and being able to just mill 2 every turn to reduce something by 5k is fair. It comes up quite often that it matters, especially because a lot of the 3 drops are 7k-ish. Some of them are 8k, of course, which definitely helps a lot. But the fact that we can minus 5k, especially on opposing Seymours, I felt was pretty good because I could just run them over. You know, being able to ping it with Axstar, it just makes that rounding up so much easier in certain things. And if there was something that was truly a pain, then the Y'shtola special could also help, you know, deal some good damage, and Yuna being able to reduce any 10Ks plus down to that little threshold would work. Lena Super Late Edition, pretty sure we added her the night before in the hotel room. Main reason simply because I wanted more water CP, and it's played in a lot of more traditional WoL7 lists for good reasons. It did come up, I think, 2 times throughout the weekend where I got both effects off, which was fairly nice. But again, the Nero, simply just for Category 14. And then another thing that's commonly played in most WoL7 lists are the crystal backups. So I chose, of course, Category 14 backups, which just kind of, again, goes along with the whole theme here. So these were just kind of no-brainers. I don't have any crystal payoffs whatsoever in the entire deck. I do have some thoughts on that hopefully I'll remember to talk about before the end of this video. Lastly, we do play a small little water package. Now, I personally decided to go with Sarah FFL, of course, and then we have 1 copy of Larsa. The reason that I chose Larsa over, like, let's say Arya or any other backup that's going to search, I simply chose Larsa because she was able to not only go grab WoL7 or 4-color WoL, but she was also able to grab Alisei, and that was a big deal to me. Alisei is one of those, as most Scions players know, he is a very big, I don't want to say a crutch, but he's a very big key piece to keeping the board presence alive, and that it mattered a lot during the weekend to have Alisei. And in a pinch where I drew Larsa later, sort of like in the mid-range version of the game, it made more sense to me, so I went with Larsa. So this right here is 49 cards. The 50th card that I had, which I was pretty high on from the get-go, but I can't take credit for the concept because it was a concept that I stole from a deck that I saw in FFTCG, although I didn't go as ham as that person did. I played one copy of the Water Warrior of Light. So the 4-drop Warrior Light is simply for an extra special, which came up very, very often, which I'm very glad that I had. But it also was an EX, and I had it as an EX just in case it like ever got hit. Again, out of 13 rounds, it never went to damage. I had it to pitch multiple times though, which was really, really special. So, but I did like it, A, because it's an EX. It lets me go search for backups if I like accidentally hit it into damage, especially like, you know, the nuts would have been, take a damage for each Stola and I get to search for a backup. It's cool, right? It's whatever. I never expected it to happen, but it was there in case it did. And if I ever whatsoever had to cast it, it had a special on it, and I could, get rid of cards in my hand. So it was just kind of the thought that, I could use it if I absolutely had to. It wasn't a completely dead card, but its literal main function was to just be special fodder. So the philosophy of the deck, like I said, really based around Zeralja, but the main thing that happens in the deck is you just kind of get to go wide, and even if they do dismantle it, you can still rebuild really quickly, which WoL7, in my opinion, usually struggles once they amot the first win, or once they start having a few removals out there. Then you kind of just sit there and go, oh, I'd really like to cast another WoL7. Well, that little dopamine of flipping 5, really, it's not the same, but it is comparable to, hit Alisei and then go grab, Alphino, or hit the Graha and, just go wild, right? So this is the main 50. I don't really want to try to explain the LBs because they're all pretty generic. I mean, I played, and I've moved stuff around, of course, since we've gotten back, but I mean, you just play the standard stuff, the Clouds, the Zax. I played an Iron Giant. I never casted it. It never came up, but I think it's good just to, be able to help round up some damage. The Gilgamesh against opposing WoL7s is kind of why I ran that. Surges, Tonberry, pretty standard stuff. I did run one copy of Leo and one copy of Lunafreya as well. But the philosophy behind Leo is when in doubt, Leo it out, right? The other one, Lunafreya, was just to help me dig in case I desperately needed something. If I drew a bunch of dead cards and needed to dig my way out of it, it wasn't to find EXs and get insane value. It literally was just to dig for outs, which it came up once, and I can't remember if it worked out very well or not very well at all, but either way, a little bit about the ratios on the deck. I do think that, honestly, we probably go down to 2. Zeralja, oddly enough. It's a great card, but I never once got the damage 5 off, and when I did get the the initial attack, swing, and break something, it's great, but again, I think 3 is probably overkill, but I was so scared of the boogeyman that I had that. In place of the Zeralja, I think I would actually go for an extra Graha. Graha, I did not get to do any Graha shenanigans at all, and one of the caveats with Graha is, in my brain before the event, I thought, well, if I'm ever flipping Graha off of WoL7, then I'm usually going to be, like maybe a backup and maybe a card in hand. So, I could pitch one, tap one to go grab another Scion, which is fairly relevant, right? But I didn't feel like I'd have that like super often. But I didn't ever necessarily want to flip Graha off of that. I wanted the Graha to be the follow-up on the turn after I do WoL7 and after I get a couple of backups, and then I can, hardcast Alisei, grab the Graha, and then, do things after I cast WoL7. Like, it was truly the follow-up to the WoL7 to just kind of extend me a little bit further ahead. So that's kind of like the direction the philosophy that I would use with the Graha going forward. As you can also tell, there's no cancels in the deck. There's no Amats. There's no levies. There's nothing. And that's a little scary, but I really didn't care what you did. I just wanted to, I just kind of wanted to slam cards. That's really all I wanted to do. You could argue that the Nero come out, and you could probably just put whatever you want to in there for that. You could arguably say the Lena comes out for another Yuna. I was a little worried with names because we are on 3 ofs of a lot of different things, but it never really like killed me to have some more name diversity. I thought it was fairly well suited for the weekend. So I will say that the Y'shtola special came up quite often. I did really enjoy the Scions package as a supplementary package to WoL7. I really did enjoy having an extra cancel in the deck overall. Or not cancel, but the extra protection. I do think that made a big difference in multiple games. And yeah, so overall, for the entire event, day 1, during the teams event, I personally went 4-2. Our team did not do so hot, but all in good fun. We took 2 relatively new players, and they had a blast. So that's all I can ask for. Could care less about our record. Day 2, I had a really good run. I went XO for the first 4 rounds, and then proceeded to lose 3. So that was fun. I do think that my first loss was very well justified. I think that I fought against Angelo, who ended up winning the entire day 2. The Monofire matchup, I was heavily teched for in an odd way because our local Alex was also on Monofire, and we spent hours teching that deck out and making a lot of tweaks to it. And oddly enough, I felt like this had a decent matchup into Monofire. Specifically because the only thing that like really stops this deck is not being able to shrink things with Y'shtola or ping things with this Y'shtola or ping things with Axar, right? If this is allowed to do the removal or the dull freezes with Gilgamesh, then this deck kind of gets to do what it wants, and Zeramis is a really hard stop to that in a lot of ways. It is a little riskier with the Zonde and stuff like that because I'm on so many Scions, but I wasn't really like super worried on the Zonde part. I was really worried about the Zeramis, but the crystals, that's literally all they were used for. I didn't spend a single crystal, obviously, on anything else. I don't have anything to spend it on, but being able to pay for the Zeramis was pretty big, but it didn't even come up against Angelo. So anyways, he pretty much had his way with the deck, which was interesting, but after that was a slow decline. I played against another Scions list. He was technically Water, Lightning, and Earth. He did play Aaronville and an Earth Y'shtola, but I ended up, if I'm not mistaken, I ended up putting him to damage 6, and the next turn I would have had 4 bodies on the board that could have attacked. I can't remember if Gilgamesh was in the picture or not, if he could have, swung multiple times or not. But either way, I thought that I was in a very commanding position. to take him to 6 and be able to have 4 attackers next turn. Problem was damage 5 was a Minfilia, I believe. The one that lets you search for any Scion, and then damage 6 was Kusith, and those may be reversed. It may have been damage 5 Kusith or whatever, but either way, he hit 2 bursts in a row, and that pretty much guaranteed him to have the Alisei, which went for his own Y'shtola, and the Kusith was able to recur the Earth Y'shtola. So it was pretty telegraphed what was going to happen. The problem was I didn't have a way to stop it. I did have WoL7's special in hand, but you know, the Y'shtola special is non-targeting 9,000 damage. So the only thing on my field that survived was my own multi-element Y'shtola, which was not in the best positions for myself. I just had to draw it out. I mean, I had to make him use it. There was no other way around it. I LB Cloud to break his Y'shtola. And in response, you know, I think we had a bunch of different things that happened, but somehow he lost 2 forwards, and then I lost 3 of my 4. So after that, he was able to quickly reestablish with his own Scions, and he ended up eventually taking the win. So that was a little bit of a struggle bus for the deck, but him and I both agreed that the EX burst is really what like got him right back into it. And then final round I played against Sydney, and he was on Bart's Wall, of course. And I made the cardinal sin after telling the two locals that went with us to never, ever, ever put Refia at damage 3. Find a way to get them from 2 to 7. And what did my dumbass do? I put Bart's Wall on damage 3. I did have a very, very commanding hand. I felt like it was in a really strong position. It's just me being a dumbass. I screwed that part up. So it was great fun overall. I did end up 31st, which isn't, you know, nothing crazy to write home about. But again, everybody that, you know, saw the deck and, you know, in the teams event, it was really fun because, you know, multiple people were trying to, like, you know, help dissect, like, what position I had, how many specials I had left and stuff like that. And people would see like an Y'shtola come down and they're like, whoa, what are you doing? And you know, it was just really fun. It's really fun stuff. Oh, you already molded? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I had to. That other one wasn't looking good.
Sir.
Yeah.
7 mold and 4 color. Go. Alright, pretty telegraphed.
Yeah, my bad. Add back Jack. And pass turn.
Yeah.
Ah, you bitch. How many cards you got in your hand? 4. 4. Okay.
Pass.
Okay.
Okay, look at that.
Stalled your turn, damn it.
WoL7.
And you still got the WoL7 and WoL4 in hand. Yep.
Get a crystal draw card.
Yep. And you have the colors.
So we have 4 right now.
Okay. Which means haste and first strike.
Correct. We will go to combat.
Yep.
We will swing unit first. Yeah, we'll put the top 2.
Yep.
Then we'll Wolf 4. So that everything's protected.
That gives you colors.
It just gets me to 5 so that I can dull and free something with him.
In response, I will trade special to
9k?
Is it how much has it got? 8?
Yeah, it's got 8.
Yeah, I'll 9k it.
You have 1 in hand?
1 in hand.
So we'll light wool.
Fucking bitch.
Yep.
Alright, so that's still coming through.
Yep, 1 damage. 1, dull and freeze. 2, dull and freeze. 3. Pass turn.
Damn, I'm getting my ass whooped now. Yeah, the only thing I can do. Call one target
Sure.
Gilgamesh. And we will. Right there. Yeah, best turn.
Yeah. I'll say.
Yep. Get these stolen.
Yep. -8.
Yep.
Go to combat.
Yep. Get some heat.
Still here to give haste.
Yep.
Swing this. Swing this.
I don't think it really matters. Yeah, I can't do anything.
Swing that.
Alright. That was a whole lot different.
So yeah, I really love the deck. I will definitely continue to iterate a little bit on it. I don't know exactly where it goes from here other than the small changes I mentioned earlier. But yeah, overall I think this is a really fun deck, and if you try it out, definitely let me know. But yeah, so till the next one, see you guys.